¿Y cómo están, seguidores de Hablemos de Cine? Yo soy Damián Acache y en el día de hoy les traigo un nuevo video que en realidad es un viejo video porque lo grabé más o menos hace un mes, pero mi idea de este video era que sea una fecha que sea muy importante para lo que tenía que ver este video. Y como seguramente leyeron acá abajo, este video es sobre una entrevista que hice a una de las personas más importantes relacionadas con los cómics de Marvel, y específicamente es el creador del cómic de The New Mutants, Damon, que es el cómic que se basa en la película que vamos a ver en unos días de The New Mutants. Pero bueno, no voy a alargar más esta introducción. Mi entrevista del día de hoy es nada más y nada menos que a Claremont, el creador, como dije antes, del cómic de The New Mutants, Damon. Y ahora sí, basta de introducción, vamos a darle.
Hi Chris, nice to meet you. How are you?
Oh, so far so good. The pleasure is mine.
Thanks for your time. Are you ready to talk about the New Mutants comic and the movie?
I'll do my best.
The first thing I wanted to know, do you know anything about the possible changes in the movie that it had in these years and that you could tell us?
You have me at a disadvantage. I actually have no idea. I have never seen the movie. I've had actually very little connection with it. The person who's been involved, it seems from the start, is the artist on Demon Bear, Bill Sienkiewicz.
Did you get to work on something in the movie?
Well, I didn't really get to work for the movie at all. The only connection I have with it is the director, the producer, the director, the screenwriter, decided to build his story adapting in a general sense, the Demon Bear saga that Bill Sienkiewicz and I used to start off our run on the book.
Yes.
The movies I have been most consistently connected with are the X-Men movies, which I helped set in motion back in 1998. So the New Mutants came as a very pleasant surprise. I would have been more than happy to participate, but I guess Bill was more fun.
You think that the delay of the premiere generated more expectation in the audience?
I honestly don't know. I hope so. I hope that when it opens in a fortnight, I suppose, that the audience will love it, and demand to see more. It will fulfill all the expectations that we had 2.5 years ago, when it all came to be.
Did you ever think that the comic is a horror story like the movie?
When I wrote the story, I think Bill and I were putting it together as a horror movie.
Okay.
But in the original conception, we were building around Danielle Moonstar and going into her background, her origin, her sense and perception of reality. And I think when I heard that the movie was being made, my strongest hope was that the film would fulfill that expectation. And from my perspective as a creator, take advantage of the fact that Bill Sienkiewicz created an extraordinary sequence of visual images. So for me, the challenge is, or my challenge to the filmmaker is, can the film bring to life that same visual scope, that same brilliant visual imagination?
What was the most difficult part of writing the New Mutants comic?
The most challenging part was coming up with a sequence of story events and visual imageries on paper that would keep the reader on the edge of their seat and inspire Bill to come up with visuals that would portray the images in a way that none of us had ever seen before, which is why I said before, my hope is the film is as eloquent and comprehensive in bringing those images to life as Bill was to create them in the first place.
How could you describe the movie, what you saw so far?
The only way I can, based on what the director said and what I've seen in the trailers. it's a horror movie. The characters look really interesting.
Do you think there could be a second movie?
If the opening weekend grosses $100 million, you bet. No,
Okay.
I mean, that was the thing with X-Men 20 years ago, is Fox figured it would be like every other superhero movie they'd ever done, which is their total gross would be 40 million, 50 million, maybe 60 million.
Yes.
They put it on the shelf and move on. X-Men opened to, I think the opening weekend gross was $98 million, which in 2001 was real money.
Yes.
And Fox suddenly realized, oh my God, we have a hit on our hands. Where'd that come from? Where do we go from here? I don't think they had any intention of making a sequel until they just realized that they had a financial hit and they had the best money cast anywhere, but they hadn't signed contracts.